I think it's very understandable that people view with some scepticism what appears to be a growing obsession amongst businesses around brands, about brand values. Because it used to be, this was just marketing talk, and that was just something to do with the advertising. I suppose that seemed fair enough, and they could get on without troubling me. But all of a sudden, I guess we're all being told these values aren't just about advertising. They're even about me and about how I'm meant to act and behave. So hang on a minute, what's all this about? And do I get any choices in this? I think to answer that, you have to pause a moment and ask why companies started to worrying about branding the corporate whole and not just the things they sell. The first reason is inevitably a commercial one. People pay more for brands. Putting it simply, Coca-Cola costs more than cola does. And because brands are worth more than if they were just products and services, they add value to the balance sheet of the company that owns them. That's more profit, higher value, if the company wants to sell or if it wants to attract investment. So the people in the city have invented something called the brand strength multiple to see how much more a company is worth than if you measured it just on what it does or what it sells. And the key determining factors in that are reckoned to be, well, the first one's leadership, simply the brand's ability to influence its market, stability, or the ability of that brand to survive the future, the strength of its trading environment or its market, how international its proposition is, that's the ability of a brand to cross geographical or cultural borders and thereby achieve additional growth. I suppose whether what's happening in their own market broadly makes the brand more likely to grow in importance within its industry, and how effectively it communicates its strengths, and how well it's protected against competition. And that's why brands, and especially the perception of their brands, matter to the accountants. And that's usually a pretty good place to start. And why there is a lot of comfort to be gained if your own company or parent company can tick some of those boxes. But if we're looking to shape perceptions of brands, there's much more important reasons for businesses to worry about these seemingly mysterious forces called brand values. The key reason is the customer. And if you think you're a bit skeptical about all of this, how do you think the customer feels? Well, of course, you know, because we're all customers. And you all know that every company claims to put the customer first. Well, a very recent poll suggests that 20% of people today strongly agree that in general, companies do not put the customers first. Another 45% tend to agree, and here's the scary part, only 8% disagree. Only 6% of people say that they trust companies as much as they used to, 1 in 20. So it's no surprise that the research also revealed that 81% of people agree that more importance is placed on what companies do rather than what they say. Only 3% disagree with that. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, you find out that people only give you one chance to get it right. In fact, according to this research, only 11% will give you more than one chance. So it's very simple. The way people trust brands is the same as the way they trust other people. People who do what they say they're going to do, who maintain some consistent values and behave in a consistent way. I guess that's what you'd call personality. Those are the people that are generally trusted. Those that say one thing and then do something else are those that are abandoned after their one chance, because this is all about trust. Now, there's lots of definitions of what brands are, but one of my favorites is defining why you are, so that you become the only logical choice for what you offer. People don't trust concepts and things. People trust people. And we trust our friends most because we know what makes them tick, much more than because we know what they do. So the real question for companies becomes, do we or do we not trust the people behind the brand? Do we believe in the integrity of the organization putting out the product or the service? Do those people in the company really believe what they say? Do they mean for their product to serve us? And have they agreed what they're really about? Or could they just as well be in banking or insurance because they're only in it for the money? That makes sense to me. In the traditional personal sense of trust, I trust a brand because of what I believe about the people branding it. So that's why defined brand values matter. To provide a guide for everyone that works together and some consistency of expectation for everyone who might be a customer. I know a lot of people think that brand values actually become some sort of straitjacket and make everyone behave like they're some sort of clones of each other and sort of company clone. But that's not true, and everyone can and should be able to bring their own individuality to delivering the customer expectation that the values defines. Let me give you an example. You can look at two defined sets of values of major broadcasting companies. Each of these has a huge range of programming and different personalities within it, but I suspect that most people can tell straight away which of these is the BBC and which of these is Channel 4. Indeed, if I was to tell you there's a great play on TV tonight, the best clue I could probably give you to what it's likely to be is to tell you whether it's on BBC One, BBC Two, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, Sky One, or Living. All very different plays. And why? Because the expectations are real. We have expectations, and those expectations are driven by experience and by our degree of trust in those broadcasters. We trust because we know. We know through repeated experience and through understanding what makes who we trust tick. That's why we trust friends. And in a business that's often the victim of events that are beyond its control, it brings us to our last reason for caring about brand values and about trust. And that's because people forgive friends. After all, they're only human, aren't they? But of course, companies and organizations aren't human. Or they're not unless we let them be, by how we behave, how we act, how we present ourselves. So if, heaven forbid, we do make a mistake, our customers might understand it was because we slipped up, not because it was company policy to offend. Friends earn forgiveness by earning our trust. It's no different for organizations, and a clear brand can be a significant help. And that's why brands and brand values matter to more people than just to the marketing department.